Hello and welcome to this information video all about the Demeter Farm, which is the easiest way to stake and farm on the SORA network. Now before we get started, I just want to say this video is not financial advice, it is information and a description of the Demeter Farm and how it works. So with that being said, let's get started. The Demeter Farm is built by Series Token, and the Series team are a graduate of the SORA Builders program. Within the SORA network, there is funding available for new companies, new groups of people who have good ideas to build interesting things and productive things on the network. And the Series team were one of those teams. They got some funding, some incubation for their project, and they've been building on the network for over a year now. And one of the most innovative things they've built so far is the Demeter platform. Okay, and this is the farming platform which allows you to earn rewards for providing liquidity on Polkaswap.io, which is the DEX of the SORA ecosystem. We'll have a look at a bit more in detail about the Series team in a different video, but you can get an idea of who they are just having a quick glance at their website here. You can see down the side here some of the things that they've been working on for the SORA network, lots of interesting different apps and things that they're providing for SORA. Okay, let's get back to having a look at the Demeter Farm. Now, the first standout thing to note about the Demeter platform is the fact that users are able to farm in multiple pools with the same LPers, because unlike in other networks, you do not give your liquidity to the platform when you farm on Demeter. Go into this in a bit more detail in a minute, but first let's have a look. Let's delve into the rewards that are currently available for people who are providing liquidity on Polkaswap.io and then farming their pools on the Demeter farms. Now, there are three main tokens that are available via Demeter as rewards to people who are providing liquidity, as I said, on Polkaswap DEX. Okay, the first of these is the DO token, Demeter token. The DO token is a game and utility token that gives access to the DO Arena game. Now, the DO Arena has also been built by the Series team. You can have a look at the site here, and I'll go into more detail about how that all works with the DO token a bit later on, but that's the first sort of coin that you can get as a reward in the farms on Demeter. The second coin that's available as a reward is XST USD, which is the SORA synthetic stablecoin. Okay, that's the network stablecoin, and we'll go into a bit more, give a bit more information about that in a minute as well. And the final token that you are able to farm as a reward on the Demeter farm is the XST token. This is the new token on the SORA network that's going to power a synthetic asset platform, and which will also be used to fund future development on the platform, on the network. So you can see as I'm scrolling down all the different APRs that are currently available for the pools. Essentially, if you provide liquidity in any of the three following pools, that's ZOR DAI, ZOR ETH, or ZOR USDT, that's ZOR Tether pool, you're able to basically on Demeter harvest triple rewards. Okay, so you're able to farm three different types of rewards on Demeter farm with just one liquidity pool that you're providing on Polkaswap.io. So you're able to farm all three of the tokens that I've just mentioned: the DO token, the XST USD token, and the XST token. If you look, for example, at the ZOR DAI pools, the APR that you're currently getting for if you provide ZOR DAI liquidity on Polkaswap is 198%, and you can also claim 33.4% of XST USD APR rewards. And if you wanted to as well, you could also do the same for the ZOR DAI DO pool, DO farming on the Demeter platform, which would get you a slightly smaller percentage at the moment of 6.7%. Okay, as well as these triple rewards that you may claim through the Demeter platform, if you are a liquidity provider on Polkaswap, you also automatically, within the Polkaswap.io DEX website, you also get Polkaswap rewards as well, PSWAP rewards in addition to that. So essentially, you can get quadruple rewards for these key pools by farming and providing liquidity on Polkaswap. So you might be asking, where do all these rewards come from? Which is a fair question, because there's a lot of rewards going on here. Where are they all actually coming from? So let's start with Demeter. Now, I gave you a little look before at the DO arena, okay? And the Demeter token originally came to life as one of, in fact, the first of 3 scheduled airdrop utility tokens for holders of the series token. So back when Demeter was launched, I think it's back in sort of May time, anyone who held series token in Polkaswap was entitled to an airdrop of 5 Demeter tokens per series that they held. Okay, and then in addition to that, after the Demeter token was launched, the game was launched at the same time. You need to use DO token to play the game during the league seasons when there's prize money up on offer. And basically, you can then use your DO token to play the game, and if you win or if you rank highly enough in the leaderboard, then you get rewards back, paid rewards in SORA token. Okay, so at the moment, well, not at the moment, just this is what it is. The Demeter token has a maximum supply of 10 million DO, okay, and it's being released at a rate of 1 DO per block on the SORA network, so that's 14,400 tokens per day, and then those tokens are available then to be farmed on the Demeter farm to the people, like I've just said, who provide liquidity on the Polkaswap DEX. Okay, the token has 2 built-in burning mechanisms. So tokens are burned, a proportion of tokens are burned when people play the DO Arena game, and when anyone deposits into the Demeter platform, which we'll talk about in a minute, there is a fee involved, and part of that fee goes towards burning the Demeter token, the DO token. Now you can have a look here at some of the details of how that burning structure goes. So when you deposit into the pools, it's just something you need to consider if you decide to deposit into the pools on Demeter, there is a fee involved. And that fee is then used by the series team automatically to do the following. Okay, you can see here's what happens to the fee. So if you deposit to the ZOR pool, where you're farming XST USD on the Demeter platform, you'll pay a 1% fee to make that deposit. And then this is what happens to that fee. Some of it goes towards DO burning, some to series burning, some to the treasury, and some to the team. Okay, so the DO token has these burning mechanisms. So although the original starting supply, max supply, was 10 million, already there has been burned over 750,000 of DO. Okay, so that's where one of the tokens is coming from. The second token that I mentioned that's available as a farming reward is XST USD. Now, XST USD, within the community of the SORA community, there was a referendum was passed to mint some XST USD to encourage people to provide liquidity on Polkaswap.io. So there is a limited quantity of XST USD. There may well be more minted in the future via the XST token to encourage people to supply liquidity, and as a reward for that, that's how the network is rewarding people. So that is where the XST USD comes from. And then finally the XST token, which is, as I said, the newest token to the SORA network. Okay, and that's going to power the SORA synthetic platform, where synthetic assets such as synthetic gold or synthetic Tesla stock could in theory be traded. Okay, and this XST token will power that platform. XST will also will be minted by community referenda, again, to fund development on the SORA network. But the special thing about the XST token is that in order to avoid holder dilution, any quantity that is minted by community referenda will be then the same amount, will be matched plus 1% to be given back to those people who provide ZOR XST liquidity on the Polkaswap DEX. So if you're an XST liquidity provider, you don't get diluted by the minting. You actually get a little bit more back in return, as well as what you've already got. Okay, XST is a very innovative idea, and it's going to change the tokenomics of the SORA network, and specifically of the ZOR token slightly, whereby the ZOR token will actually become a deflationary token, whereas in the past ZOR was being minted in order to fund development. That's not going to be the case anymore. So the ZOR token will actually now be a deflationary token until it reaches the token bonding curve, but that's for another day. So we've had a look at the rewards that are available. We've had a look at the Demeter platform. Now there are just some things that you might want to consider if you were deciding that you wanted to make a deposit onto Polkaswap, provide some liquidity, and then farm that liquidity on the Demeter farm. So the first thing to consider is obviously the APR. The APRs are listed here. Currently, if you are looking at earning DO as a farmer, the DO APR rates are not that great unless you're providing ZOR DO liquidity, and then you do get 106%. Okay, so it's something to consider. People who were in those farms earlier have probably were probably better compensated early on. There's more money in those pools now, so it's not quite so beneficial. You've got to look at obviously the percentages that you're getting. But if you're farming in the ZOR ETH, the ZOR DAI, and the ZOR Tether pools, those APR rates are quite attractive at the moment. You know, that's a decent, very, very decent rate of return. So when looking at the APRs, you should look at those in conjunction with fees. Like I mentioned before, those fees on the platform, which show you again what happens to them. When you deposit to the Demeter platform, you have to pay a small fee, a small percentage fee of your pool gets taken as a fee and is used for this. So you can kind of calculate, if your fee is 1% and your APR is 546%, you can work out after how many days you're going to become profitable in that pool. The final thing to consider is impermanent loss. Obviously, when you provide liquidity in any pool, there's always the chance of impermanent loss. And that's just something you have to figure out and work out whether it makes sense for you to do that. So those are the kind of things to consider if you were thinking about using the Demeter farm. As I said before, this video does not constitute financial advice, just giving information so everyone's a bit more aware of what the Demeter farm is and how it works. As you can see at the moment, there is $7.2 million TVL locked in the platform. But to note, it is important to note, like I said before, that as you can use your liquidity pool on Polkaswap.io 3 times, as in farming in 3 different farms with the same liquidity pool, that is how that figure up there, the TVL, is actually reached. So you've got the 3 adding on of all the different pools if you were to choose to farm in 3 pools at the same time. I'm going to take a very quick look at the process now of how this will actually work if you wanted to go ahead and do it. So first of all, you need to be on Polkaswap.io, okay? And you're going to need to have some liquidity already pooled, or you're going to need to pool some liquidity. So say I wanted to pool ZOR with some Tether. Go on here. So I'm going to deposit 500. Works out how much I would need to put in ZOR at the same time. And then you'd need to then go through the functionality of depositing that into adding that liquidity into the Polkaswap pool. And then through that Polkaswap pool, that's where you'll earn your PSWAP, Polkaswap rewards without having to do anything. And then if you want to then go ahead and do what we've been talking about and using the Demeter farm, you then need to connect your wallet. Connected. And then you have the opportunity, let's find the ZOR Tether pool here, to then farm. Okay. Now I don't actually have anything in there at the moment, but that's what you'd have to do. You can also notice here that there is a small transaction fee involved when you deposit. You should bear that in mind as well. So that's the Demeter farm on the SORA network. The easiest place to farm your liquidity. And there is also staking available as well. I hope you enjoyed the video. and I look forward to speaking to you again sometime soon. Bye for now.